And welcome back to the pod, guys. It's great to have you here. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day to join me. As always, it's really, really rad, truly. So today we're going to talk about what I think is one of the most important aspects of becoming a top peak performer or just like improving at this thing called life. So if you remember, if you've heard any of my story, you'll know that like when I was in that rock bottom place a decade ago, living in the back of that van, $80,000 in debt, I went to the drawing board and I was like, okay, what do I need to work on? Like, what do I need to figure out to get out of my own way and like make the most progress in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort? Because at my core, I'm pretty lazy. And what I came to were my 4 spheres of influence, which are mindset, health, wealth, and the last, skills. Skills, what I realized at that point in my life is that I had really bad, unuseful skills. I was a good rock climber. That was about it. So if you want to get paid more, you're paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. That's coming from Mr. Elon Musk himself. And so I wasn't capable of solving very big problems at that point in my life. And so I needed to figure out, okay, what are the skills that I need to acquire in order to get to the place that I wanted to be, which at that point for me, it was winning the money game. I wanted to win the money game because I knew that money doesn't solve all your problems, but it solves all your money problems. And I had a whole lot of money problems at that point. And so I was like, I can win this. It's a game. There's rules, there's strategies. I just got to master those, implement them, and I will win. And the first part of that then is like, what are your skills that are going to allow you to get to that place where you're winning the money game? And the problem, I think, at that point for me was that there's a lot of information out there. There was a lot of people telling you like, oh, you should do this and this and this. And like, if you want to be a millionaire, do that and that and that. And then you need these skills. And so like, there's a lot of noise, not a lot of like quality input in terms of like, okay, what do you actually need to do? And so I wanted to share with you guys today the 6 skills that have made me millions personally. And we're not going to go too deep into them, but just know that I did do a deeper dive video on this topic on YouTube. Go to my channel, Anthony Vicino, and check it out, called These 6 Skills Made Me Millions or something like that. Now, the way to think about your skills is first to break them up into 2 components. One that we're going to talk about here, I'm going to share with you 3 core millionaire skills, and then I'm going to share with you 3 money-making millionaire skills. Those core skills are the skills I believe that all millionaires, if you want to be successful, and I'm using millionaire as a just a buzzword here to stand in for success or peak performer or whatever, like whatever you're trying to accomplish. Like these are the core skills that are going to serve you regardless. And then we're going to get into the money making skills, which are more specifically like if you want to make money, these are the 3 skills that I think like have the biggest bang for their buck and are the most universal across all industries, all job types, whatever you want to do. Now, the benefits of like this model that we're going to break down is that you're going to learn how to master your most valuable asset. We're going to develop the highest ROI skill in the world. We're going to overcome low motivation. We're going to increase our influence. We're going to learn the rules of the money game, and we're going to unleash the power of what I consider to be the most influential thing in the entire world. So stick around. That's what we're going to cover. All right. So number 1 is, let's talk about the concept of a skill stack. This is a concept that was first introduced to me a number of years ago by the author of Dilbert, Scott Adams. And his way of looking at this is that your likelihood of becoming the top, like the best, or even in the top 10% at any one skill is minuscule, right? Like if you think about the 7.5 billion people on the planet, there are a lot of people who are really, really, really good at very particular things. So if you want to be the best artist in the world, good luck. If you want to be the best photographer in the world, good luck. However, one thing to really take to heart here is that you don't have to be great to succeed at anything. You need to be good enough. And if you can be good enough at the right collection of skills and stack them, then you can ultimately become great at that unique conglomeration of skills. And so the way to think about this is like, if we can take 5 to 6 like complementary skills that are unique and valuable and then smush them together, then you at that unique intersection of being in the top 10, 15% of each one of those skills would ultimately put you, not even the top 10, 15%, I'm sorry, you could be like in the top 30% of those skills. And then ultimately by the time you get down to, the unique combination of all the skills, you'd like number in the top 10% easily. So like a way to look at this is Like if you're an engineer and you could put together a skill stack that involved, engineering, but then, public speaking, plus the ability to distill complicated ideas and make them simple, plus the ability to digitally market, right? Like you put those things together and now suddenly you could start a YouTube channel all around engineering for, young college grads, or for the lay person, like they can implement into their life. And you can become like the unique expert in that domain. And so that's number one, is we want to think about how we stack our skills. And as we're stacking our skills, like you're looking for things that are complementary, but also unique. What I'm going to lay out here though are foundational skills that you can start to layer on. So like the core skills, you need these three for sure. And then the money making skills, these are just three options that I'm going to throw out that you can start to mix together with whatever you're uniquely suited for. And then from there, you can create your skill stack. So let's figure out, number one, our three core millionaire skills. Let me just take a drink of water real quick. All right, number one, ask yourself this question. What is your most valuable asset? And this is a totally loaded question, because like most people, 90% of them are going to say time. Time is your most valuable asset. And that's okay, because like 90% of people are wrong. Time is not your most valuable asset. And you might already know this, like the fact that you're listening to this podcast, I talk about this a lot. Time is not your most valuable asset because it's not something that you actually own or control. It's and even more fundamental than that, it's not something that you can just give away, right? Like if somebody comes and asks you for a minute of your time, they're not literally asking you just to pull out a minute out of your pocket and hand it to them, right? Like that's not what they're asking. What they really want is a minute of your attention. And that's what you control. That's what you have the ability to give people. And so that is your most valuable asset, your focused attention. So with that in mind, if focus is our most valuable asset, then developing the skill of focus is going to pay the largest dividends across time and space. Now, I think focus is one of those things that most of us struggle with. You guys know my journey with ADHD in particular, but it's not unique to me in that like distractions and sabotage, like self-sabotage and procrastination, these are like common amongst all of us, because there's literally a war of attention going on, and it's you versus thousands of brilliant psychologists and engineers and like people who are trying to make ever more interesting and addictive like social media. And so generally, like when you're distracted, somebody else is making money. When you're focused, you're making money. And so this is the number one money making skill that you really need to figure out, is focus. As you guys know, we have the hyperfocus masterclass, which is something I highly recommend if you're in a place where you struggle to get out of your way and actually get shit done, to be productive, not just busy but effective. Go check out hyperfocus masterclass, which you can sign up for by going to beyondtheapex.com/hyperfocus. All right, our second core skill that you have to develop is that of learning. Learning is, I think, the highest ROI skill that anybody can develop, because if you have the ability to learn something, like if you have the ability to learn, if you know how to learn, you can acquire any skill. It's the skill that allows you to acquire any skill, and it's magical. But the problem is the school systems like that we grew up with did a very, very poor job of teaching us how to learn, because the type of learning, the type of education that they instilled in us was convergent thinking, which is memorization or recitation, or if you follow this formula, you will converge on a singular right answer. But the problem is life is not like that. Life is divergent. And what we get paid for, the problems that we get solved the most to solve are the result of divergent thinking, which is that there's no right or wrong, that there's a whole field of gray, that there's a spectrum of better and worst answers. And so how you come to those answers, how you get there, that's what really matters at the end of the day, not the ability just to memorize and recite. And so one is, most people do not know how to learn because our system did not teach us that. And everybody learns differently. And so you got to figure it out for yourself. But if you can figure this out, then you'll tap into something pretty remarkable. As Jim Rohn says, a formal education will make you a living, a self-education will make you a fortune. So if you can figure out how you learn, and then the sky's the limit, because you're going to be able to acquire any multitude of skills from that point. The third core millionaire skill, or third core skill, is that of discipline. And discipline is important because it's the ability to move your mind and your body with unwavering intent towards a goal, despite obstacles, despite things getting in your way, despite you losing the motivation. And that's a problem for most people. And this problem that I really had when I was younger is that, and I still do, truthfully, is that it's very easy to get motivated, get rah-rah about like, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to write that book, I'm going to build this business, I'm going to do this thing. But motivation is finite. It doesn't last very long. And once it's gone, if you do not have the discipline to, fill in the gap behind the gap that the motivation leaves behind, then you're just going to fall off and you're going to stop doing the thing. So more important than being motivated to lose weight or motivated to build a business or motivated to make money, it's to have the discipline to go to the gym. It's having the discipline to build the business. It's the discipline to do the money-making activities every single day. And so discipline is a skill to be developed. All right, now those are our core skills. Those are the things that I think every millionaire needs to have, or just a successful person needs to have. They need to have focus, the ability to learn, and discipline. You got those three things, now you're set. From here, we're going to layer on our actual money-making millionaire skills. And there's countless. There's so many. We're not going to be able to talk about them all here. So I'm just going to break down three that I think are the most universal, that pay the biggest bang for the buck, that have the most leverage across all industries. Number one is the ability to communicate. See, regardless of what you're doing in life, it's like if you want to be successful, it's probably going to involve other people at some point. In a business or in making money, that's going to involve vendors, it's going to involve customers, employees, partners, whatever. So to succeed, you need to be able to communicate effectively with the world about your vision, about your message, about what you want to do, how you want to do it, and why people should do it with you, right? And there's so many different ways that humans communicate that I couldn't even begin to just unwind it all right here. But four that I think in particular are super important is learning how to write, learning tonality and body language, and then learning how to speak in public, like how to deliver a compelling message. And what's going to actually help you become a more effective communicator is the ability to tell a good story and do so persuasively. So those are like two sub skills that I would stack underneath of communication, is learn how to tell a damn good story and then learn how to be more influential, more persuasive. For that one, like there's a really good book. I just reread it. I love it. It's so good. Is Robert Cialdini's Influence. And then also he had a book called Persuasion. Check those both out if you want to get better at that particular skill. The second money making skill. In this one, it took me a long time to even think about, like in the course of my life. When I was all through my 20s, I wasn't thinking a lot about money. I wasn't thinking about the money game, the rules, the strategies, or any of that stuff. And I didn't realize that money was a game. And if I had realized that sooner, then I might have started playing the game sooner. I just took it for granted that money was something that existed, that you either had or you didn't, and that was that. And as a result, I just didn't have it. Like it never happened, and so I didn't think any deeper about it. As it turns out, money is a game. There are rules, there are strategies that are going to set you up for success or failure. And understanding those rules is key to becoming a millionaire or just successful. So two aspects of this particular skill I want to talk about is finance and investing. Okay, that's our second money-making skills, like mastering finance and investing. Finance being like, how does money actually work? And you start with personal finance. I think there's a couple of books like The Richest Man in Babylon or I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. I think those are great starting points for just understanding the basic rules of the game. But then as you start going up through the ladder, you start to transition from just basic finance into investing. And that's a huge important leap that you got to make if you want to, I think, generate actual meaningful wealth. And from investing, I think there's so many good resources out there. Two that I would recommend is learning about the stock market and learning about real estate. I think those are the two that are going to pay the biggest bang for your buck. So start there, focus there. On the real estate side, you know that we have the Multifamily Investing Made Simple podcast. So go check that out. I have got a book, Passive Investing Made Simple. So go check that out. We got tons of free resources at invictusmultifamily.com. So if you want to learn about real estate, I got you. Now, if you want to learn about stocks, I can't help you there because I don't really play in that market. I'm not an expert and I'm not going to talk about it. But the person that I've learned the most from is Howard Marks from Oak Tree Capital. He's put out, I think, monthly or quarterly investor updates every year for the last 30 years. So this guy's brilliant. Free resource. You just go to oaktreecapital.com. You can download his memos or just go pick up his book, The Most Important Thing. I think that's a really good place to start if you're just trying to understand investing, generally speaking. All right, now the third and final money-making skill that I'm going to share with you guys here is, I think, potentially the most important. We've done deep dives on it in previous episodes of this podcast, and we're going to keep going deeper and deeper into it because it's fundamental if you want to build a successful business and generate large sums of money, which, if you're here, like, that might be part of your goal. So it's the idea of mastering the skill of leverage. And leverage can manifest itself in a whole lot of different ways, but I just want to start by explaining, I think Alex Hormozy says it best when he says that leverage is the discrepancy between what you put in and what you get out. And so in generating wealth and building a business, you can only do so much. And the reason most people fail to make meaningful money or to build a successful business is because they try to do it all themselves through grunt hard work and just investing their time, their personal time and energy into it, which is a very low form of leverage. And you can only move so much. It's just you out there, digging a hole with your hands. And so as we can start to layer in the different types of leverage, we can do more, we can build more while doing less. And so the four aspects of leverage that I think are the most valuable when it comes to building businesses and investing in real estate or just making money is, one, labor leverage, which is you get other people to do the job for you. And when I started out, I had a window washing company and we hired 15 people that were out there washing windows while we handled the scheduling and the quoting and pricing and all that stuff. And so they washed 15 times more windows than I ever could on my own. So that's labor leverage. Two is capital leverage, which is what we do now with Invictus Capital, where we raised, say, $25 million from passive investors, and we use that money to go buy real estate. And then that money is making our investors money for them, right? So capital, it's investing and putting the money to work. Three is media leverage, which is, if you're watching this right now, I'm currently pulling on a very massive lever, which is media. Like, you're listening to this podcast where I spend 15 minutes recording it, and now it can be listened to by 1 million people. I can repurpose this and put it on all the different platforms. That's a ton of leverage. And finally is technology leverage, or coding. Like, code is probably the most powerful of all the levers. It's the one that I know the least about, so it's one that I can't really play in the waters of, but I can play capital, I can play leverage, and I can play the media game. And so those are the three levers I pull the most frequently. But if you want to be successful and build wealth, really understand these forms of leverage, and then how you can implement and pull them in your own life. And you're gonna be far more successful than the people who do not understand the principle. So that is it. Those are 6 skills that helped me make millions. We had our 3 core skills of focus, learning, discipline, and we have our 3 money-making skills of communication, finance and investing, and then finally leverage. If you guys have questions, because there's a lot here, I encourage you to reach out. I'd love to hear from you guys. As always, it's really cool that you guys are here, and I love the feedback that you share. Like, when you guys take these podcasts and share them on social media, it's really rad. It's cool to see that you guys are digging it. So keep tagging me in that stuff. I love it. As always, I appreciate the hell out of you guys for being here and giving me a little bit of your energy. I know you only got so much to give, so the fact that you shared it with me, it means a lot. So thank you. And as always, I'll see you guys tomorrow.